Welcome to the Fantasy Football Forge. My name is Steve, and today we will be going over the quarterback rankings that I have for week 2 of the NFL season in fantasy football. This should be a quick video. What you are looking at right now is not rankings. These are projections, and this is what I will end up having once we get a couple more sample sizes. I wanted to show you what things look like in the world when you base your decisions based on a limited amount of sample sizes, especially like in this case, just 1 week of data for these quarterbacks and the defenses that they're facing up against and all of that. So there's a few other reasons, but hey, one life lesson, don't forget, small sample sizes are no good to base your decisions off of. Just a quick pitch on what you are seeing here. These are up on the website. I don't know for sure if I'm going to do rankings videos or videos based off of my projections, and then it kind of depends if I have time to do rankings, but I do prefer projections to some extent anyways, and then making start to sit decisions from there. So what we are looking at is ultimately there is a number that is not shown on here that these players are ranked in the order of. So there is a ranking number that I created in order to organize these players. Over here on the left, as you can see up here, I have like player temperature, kind of a play off of the FF Forge theme. Red is going to be good, white average, blue bad. That is how it's going to look for the floors and ceilings. I played with a lot of different color schemes in regards to end up making this chart, and did a little kind of poll, I guess, on Reddit to get some opinions, and this is the one that I ended up landing on. So having this different, I know it might not make complete sense, but visually it just helps to separate things, and whatever the case, it works best that way. So over here on the temperature, these are based off of nothing that goes into the projections. It is based off of several numbers, like the Las Vegas lines have a fair amount to do with these temperature gauges, and they're just really to give you an idea of, hey, Tua has a higher chance of hitting his ceiling or going over the ceiling. As you'll see, these are expected floors, expected ceilings, expected ranges. So they're, it's not the top ceiling. If I were to do that, I could just put every player at like roughly 42 points or something for the ceiling, and put the floor at like, I don't know, I guess negative points based on last season. Who was that? Lions quarterback, negative points that week. So, yeah, that is how this chart works over there on the far left, kind of a guide of how factors are looking in terms of these players and hitting these, where you would expect them to land within this range, or once again, that floor ceiling thing. So these are two different charts. And one reason I just wanted to show this off in all of its glorious mess is because as the season goes along, as we get more and more data points, things are going to look more homogeneous. If you saw my video for week 1, that was based off of last year's data. It was basically red, a little less red, little less red than that, red, and green, and then at the bottom, red, and in the middle, yellows. No shocks, like for instance, Derek Carr here. For whatever reason, even though his floor is fairly high and in a good spot, and even though his ceiling's in a good spot, even though his expected ranges are both in the green there, especially compared to those around him, he is still somehow, I don't know exactly why, and that's the fun thing about these projections. You enter the numbers, even though I created them. In the end, it's like, whoa, that's a surprise. And so I just wanted to show off that there was a lot of thought and different numbers going into, the output that we get here. So you understand that this isn't all willy-nilly put together. There was a lot of play testing with the numbers and adjustments made throughout last season, and I kept track of what
inputs were more accurate than other outputs, and I shifted them around to how much of an influence they have, and then just there's straight up different numbers going into some of these outputs based on which number is higher or lower, or which number represents a player having a bad day compared to a player having a good day. Those types of things.
So, yeah, that's how this works. And then, like I said, these are two different things. So the expected range is kind of like a better than a coin flip range. And it tested out over 60% with a, as in players over 60% of the time would land in this range. I can't remember the exact values. 63% of the time. Also, just for ease of seeing this, I've rounded off the numbers, but they are decimal points going deep. It gets messy to read. And then I also want to show, I also do end up putting the slate on there and highlighting some of the games with different times. Heads up, this week there are 2 Monday night games. So that is this. There's the scoring system that this is based off of. Here are my projections. I really didn't like doing the projections for the quarterback this week, so we'll jump through this quickly. I have Pat Mahomes up at number 1. Just let you know, I just used kind of the consensus ratings as partially a guide. I actually did use the projections as a little bit of a guide, mostly just that hot or cold, the thermometers that I have for the guys, and my personal feelings on them in some way or another to end up shaping this. So Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert were quite easy to put in there as a top 3. Then I have Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. I did end up putting over Kyler Murray, which I don't believe the consensus ratings had that. And even up here, Kyler Murray was higher than Lamar and had a better temperature gauge. That was just a personal decision there. I'm worried about that Arizona offense just not being quite up to par yet. I think it'll get there this year. Those are the top 6. Then I jumped Derek Carr up, I think probably quite a ways. So because I ranked Arizona's quarterback this high, I was like, well, then that means that they're scoring points, right? So then that means that Las Vegas has to score points too, right? So that was part of it, and because it's kind of a mess this week at quarterback, yo. Oh, that reminds me, I wanted to have a laugh at Aaron Rodgers week 1 here. Remember, I'm a Packers fan. I can still laugh at us. He really showed up, I think the worst I've ever seen anyone show up on this these projections. None of his numbers looked good at all. And then that combined with playing against Chicago, which was against San Francisco last week, there wasn't a lot of passing going on there, and him not throwing any passing touchdowns really hurt. So yeah, I just thought that was funny how piss poor around. You can just see the intensity of this blue and this red here compared to the rest, like terrible. And like Tom Brady down here, Matt Stafford down here. So yeah, that's all based, if the year ends up turning out like this, that will be crazy. Marcus Mariota up here. All right. So back on task here. I followed that up with Matt Stafford. I think that had to do with the matchup. God, why didn't I write the matchups down here? Yeah, going up against Atlanta, expecting a rebound there. Then Russell Wilson I put up against a few names who I'm sure will do better than him. Maybe not. But it was more just like a safety pick for me because there are some concerns for one reason or another with some of these. And some of them I just couldn't get myself to put up ahead of like Joe Burrow or Russell Wilson. You shouldn't get a bad week out of him because it is he's playing against Houston this week. And then Joe Burrow there, expecting a bit of a bounce back week. Kirk Cousins, I moved him up, I think, more than at the very least, well, my projections here, and also I believe the consensus rankings, because of the matchup, because Minnesota is playing up against Philadelphia, and expecting that to be a gunslinger of a game between those two. Then Jameis Winston, also have him higher, so I couldn't get myself to put Carson Wentz any higher. I could have put Tom Brady up there. It's boring. It just turned out like this. I do like Jameis Winston this week going up against Tampa Bay. So not the prettiest thing. They have a pretty good track record against Tampa Bay since Tom Brady's been there. I'm sure you've heard that by now, so don't need to go over that. But if you've been with me since the offseason, I like Jameis Winston as a quarterback for fantasy football specifically. Then Carson Wentz, he's in another nice matchup against Detroit that may have some fruitful returns for him again this week. Tua Tagovailoa, I am sticking my neck out a little bit, probably putting him up here. Maybe I trusted the heat temperature gauge on him there as much as anything, and I do believe I like that matchup. Who are they? Miami going against the Raiders, and I have mixed feelings on that matchup actually, but all in all, I'm going up against Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore has another defensive injury. Is it Marcus Peters? I think cornerback did not practice today, or limited, or got injured during practice, something of that sort. So another injury to their wide receiver, their cornerbacks. Doesn't help going up against the wide receivers of Miami. Tom Brady down here, I don't know, not a great week 1 performance, obviously, so that's where I ended up landing on him. Trey Lance ended up giving him the nod over Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan there, and those are kind of my 3 honorable mentions. If you trusted these 3, they're not really in any order. I'd probably go Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, actually, out of those 3. If you wanted to play them over all the way down to number 9 here, I'm cool with that. From 9 through 19, I think it's just kind of a pick your weapon. I was going to say pick your poison, but that sounds like it's a bad thing. Pick your guy, your favorite guy, and just go with whatever your gut is saying there. And then Cooper Rush and Ryan Tannehill have as, I guess, sleepers of a sort. Let me get that off there. So, I would not really outright trust them, but Ryan Tannehill going up against Buffalo, I don't want to call it garbage time, but they may need to pass a fair amount. And then Cooper Rush, he did well last year, and it's a matchup against, I think he's playing Cincinnati, right? So I really wouldn't want to play Cooper Rush because of the matchup more than anything, but I don't know that he's some terrible fantasy quarterback. That offense, that system is kind of quarterback friendly as far as fantasy points go. And last year they let him rip just as much as they let Dak rip. Really, those are my projections. These are rankings. Oh god. Check out the other videos here on YouTube. You can also go up onto the website www.theffforge.com, link down in the description, to find updated rankings. I am already going to have to be moving at least Ramondre Stevenson up at running back compared to where I had him when I filmed those videos, because I had him, I did not catch the injury to Ty Montgomery. He's been put on the IR, by the way, if you missed that as well. Thanks again for watching this video. Like, subscribe, the things you can do if you wish to. Thank you. Love you. Bye-bye. Hiccup.